Hello. How we doing? I'm letting people get in. Ads will say hello because pre-roll is on. The only way to turn pre-roll off is to run more ads. Isn't it a travesty? I have no legs. They fell off in the war. I meant to rotate myself instead. I drug the whole cave. I'm powerful. Okay, I'll stop playing puppets with my thing. Did you know there is no hotkey in OBS? You can't even set one for flip horizontal. I literally just wanted like hit like H or Shift H or something, let my little person flip horizontal. Not a thing. Not a button you can set. Doesn't it suck? So if I want to play puppets, I gotta right click and go to transform and say flip horizontal. And now I'm looking this way. And I gotta right click and do transform and say flip horizontal. And now I'm looking that way. Set a shortcut for it. Can't do anything for it. Stupid. Let me flip. It's important. Whatever. All right. I think I know which one I wanted to do first today. I had thoughts. I had thoughts and ideas. There's a simple-ish looking one, Skelly Skirmish. I think we'll start there. Something small and fun, hopefully, or small and stupid. I mean, it can't be worse than Barcore, right? Oh, that went right in. Okay, cool. That's windowed and everything. Let's see what it does. Game capture does not immediately recognize it, but that's okay. It usually doesn't. There we go. Wow, you're tiny. What if we go over here? Oh, we're fine. We are dandy. Welcome to Skelly's Skirmish. This is how we're going to start today. Make sure game capture's on. I have no idea how loud it's going to be, or if it even has sound at this point. Skelesoft from Skelemans. So far, it's dead quiet, which is concerning. Oh, there we go. Oh my, that's a jump button. Okay. Oh. And there's nothing I can do about that. I gotta jump on them while they're... Okay. Well, if something's gonna compete with Mr. Chickens, it's gonna be a game that plays like Mr. Chickens. To some extent. Let's be real. I see. Can't just bonk that. Gotta go down the hole. Where you going, dude? Okay. I'm not seeing an outright time limit. Okay, there we go. There's no reason not to just run over and grab these. Yes. The amount of time it takes a guy to land somewhere seems a bit random and odd, but that's okay. There's this asshole. Well, we don't get that pumpkin. It's gone. Okay. Eh. Well, so far, despite the framing of the game and how I started, I don't feel too boned. It's also not particularly challenging once you understand the assignment. Thank you. Well, at least Liz is having fun, and that's what really matters, isn't it? Oh, what? Wait. Okay, I can't get there, and I can't get there. I can jump off rope. Okay. Come on. Thank you. Of course. Yes, take your time. I'm assuming if I jump on them before they're stunned, I will just die. Test it. Yeah, you just die. I don't see my lives anywhere. Oh. Okay. Okay. Come on, man. Bonk. Give me your pumpkins. Yeah, you're in a tiny hole. You think you're special. You think you're safe. You're not. Way over here. Having to get your bones is an okay idea. You're just not getting all the pumpkins on this one. Not that there seems to be much motivation to actually do so most of the time. Besides, yay, points go up. Which is fine, but with no indication of lives or anything, I don't know if points have a function, or if it's just chase the score for the score's sake, or if there's even a leaderboard, or anything. It's fine. We have a boss. Okay. Oh, you for real? Come get it, land here, and then get bonked. We wait for the guy to show, and we bonk the guy. And we can only bonk the guy once, and then the guy kills us. And we're fine. Once again, no indication of how many lives I do or do not have. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't happen. So we just get the hell out of his way, and he goes, and then more ghosties spawn, and we kill the ghosties. And that guy goes to Timbuktucky, McSpucky. Oh yeah, this is riveting. Come here. Come on. I would love to point out, the hardest thing to do when making a game is to actually make it fun. Oh, well. Like, that's the part people kind of take for granted. I mean, it's not easy to make something that runs, don't get me wrong. Games take work, they're hard, but like, making something that just... Dead. Is it game over? No. Is there a game over? Okay, do I lose points or something when I get hit? Is there some downs? No. So... What? So I don't... Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Come on down. What is the obstacle here besides just doing it? Really? We're having the coin sweeper problem again, where it's like, well, what exactly is holding me back here? Also, how many hits does this clown take? Oh, thanks for playing. Okay, cool. Meh. It works. Hello, Milo. Yes, you have a lot to say. Did you have feelings on Skelly Skirmish? Hmm? What did you think? Meow. He thought meow. I. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh. Here, have some pets. A little bit of pets. An acknowledgement that you're real and exist. I know. You are fuzzy. You want up to see your mother, or are you just saying hi to me? Am I in your way? Do I need to move, or are you asking for attention? Do you need water? Do you need water? Do you need water? Are you thirsty? I feel like you might be thirsty based on previous information. Oh, you're not getting that. This. Some water. Give us what? Ugh. Kitty cat. Oh, sorry. Sometimes he wants things. I think his brother's hiding in the box. Just about it too, but I don't know. Can I get out? Yeah. There's arcade. I'm assuming arcade has lives. Ah, there it is. Okay. That would have made it slightly more interesting, but not enough that I care. What we got? Audio, video. Video and graphics being different things is interesting. Ah. Okay, so we got palettes. Always nice. Okay, I mean, nice touches. VSync on, display number, full screen resolution, music volume, max is at 9, keyboard and controller setup. You can't change this, by the way. It's just, this is your Game Boy. I guess I can see what they're going for with the Game Boy then, because jump is the weird button. No, I can remap it though. Whatever. It's not bad. It's just not great. It is meh. That is a very meh. It does its job. It feels like the kind of project people would put on Steam because these days you're expected to put your game on Steam. Feels like the sort of thing I would previously have just like downloaded off a Game Maker forum. It's like, check out my project, I've been learning. Like, it has its points of polish, but it's not like the level design's not amazing. The boss design was incredibly dull. And the overall concept, I don't know. Like, I like games like that, and it was like, I'm not feeling it at all. Very, very slow. So, what's another good one? Oh, we'll try Anarchy Road. That could be fun. That looked like the opposite of what we just did. Oh no, it's an Unreal. Oh no, it's an Unreal. Okay, hold on. All right. Now, in a weird twist, the actual window title is Bunker Brothers. So clearly the game has gone through some. Oh my. Okay, so there is sound, but only when I'm focused on the window. That's fine. I don't mind that. Bam. We're over here now. So, and that, I mean, that can happen. You change your title, you don't go into your project settings, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's a drum beat. Okay, so this is. Okay, we do have gamepad options. Let's look at this. VSync on. I don't know why it's always off. I don't know why it's always... Do people like screen tearing now? What options? Difficult or not? My VSync is... Oh my god, that does not work with gamepad at all. Okay. Oh, Bunker Brothers are the creators. Okay. That's an oddly on-point disclaimer for that kind of... It's in the options menu? Okay. Play. Oh, new game and new game co-op. Well then. Welcome to Anarchy Road. This game contains arcade-style reckless driving. Uh-huh. Video games may cause seizures with lights. Did you know that?
Those that remain continue to be tormented by ever-increasing dangers.
Anyone hear the voice acting?
One of the last strongholds. 4 warriors of this savage land have come together in an effort to save what little they have left.
Okay. Yeah, I might have to tweak some settings if it lets me in-game. Oh, okay, this is much louder.
Start your journey.
Okay, so the voices are just quiet. Everything else seems
Listen,
fine.
we don't have very much time. They destroyed our homes. We lost our families. They must be stopped.
Ooh.
Each of you was selected for your unique expertise. But I don't care how good you are. Time to prove yourself now.
You were all selected because you were good, but I don't care that you're good? Well, then what do you care about? Oh, you're kidding me. You cannot do options from in there. Alright. I'm maxing out the volume. How's that? Can we hear that? Oh, right. I can't look at OBS because if I look at OBS, it stops making noise. Is there options that... No, there's not. Okay. Okay, save game 1. Let's go. Let's do tutorial. See what happens. Volume is all over the place.
This is our test facility here in Georgetown. This will get you used to driving this car in different conditions. I'm ready. Are you?
I don't know, man. Let's find out. Alright, vehicle. R trigger for throttle. Brake. Reverse. Dude, you turn on a fucking dime. I found the drift button. Okay, I gotta turn my volume down. It is all over the place. Let me know if it's too loud. I have to hit the button every time. I only have so much ammo? Well, good thing I slowed down. Oh, okay. So... Oh, okay, so X and B are... Okay. Separate guns. Why? That seems bad and annoying, actually, but alright. Why did we do the blah? Why blah? Why blah? And that gave me the don't let it run out, okay. Okay, well your slide a little late on the turbo, but alright. Okay, well, let's see how the actual game goes, shall we?
Glad to see you're more capable than I had assumed.
Enough with the attitude. It's gonna take all of us to survive this.
The reactor has been compromised. We will need to split up and collect enough cores to keep it running.
And to stop it from blowing up.
Okay,
Scout is
what's the
already-
girl's role here besides
Keep an
being a
eye out,
bitch?
Maintain a fast pace. If you don't reach one in time, then we've already lost.
Go
There are a
fast.
lot of rogues out these days. Dark times. Stay alert for ambushes and traps.
The president. Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's gonna be a tough mission.
Yeah, but this dude is clearly in charge, right? Like, he's immediately taking control. So what is her purpose?
We're under attack!
You each have your destination. Meet up soon. Avoid the giants. They're too big
Damn
to
rare.
take on yet. There are still a few soldiers holding up the Georgetown base. But time for us to move. Get out now!
Also, the fact they sometimes come out of the borders and sometimes, I don't know. Like, he goes over that border, but under the other one, and then, okay. Right, we're going. Alright, I'm over here. Use the boost to get through? It's not a good sign that I just lost a bunch of time when I'm being timed. Oh, well, we lose. Can I just restart? Alright, thank you. That corridor is the devil. That's the devil. I don't know why. It's the devil. It's immediately like, here's a narrow little passage, here's stuff that just gets in your way. Driving's alright, drifting's terrible. The drifting stops you so hard. Oh, okay. Wow. It's just, the handling. I'm trying to get a feel for the handling, and I'm really struggling. Okay, at least I got in and through the corridor if you ignore the big chunk of health I lost in the process. Like, you're clearly meant to take this fast. Drifting is weird. Okay. Like, I'm better off just not drifting most of the time. Drifting is almost like just hitting the brakes. It's not great. Where am I going? Over here. Hello? Nani? There's tanks, man. There's tanks? Am I supposed to shoot the tanks? What am I... Okay. It's not doing a lot, but alright. Halfway there. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, robots everywhere. Crash into walls, then there's tanks and blind corners. Oh, we don't like your mourners. They'll never find your corpse. Like, how was I supposed to know that's coming? Oh, fuck off. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. There's a giant robot, Spritzy. Am I going straight? No, I'm going left. Oh my god. Well, every other fence I could break through, so if I lose because of that, I'm going to be really sad. We're going left again. Oh no, we're fine. Jesus Christ. Okay. Collectible mist? I don't... Oh, that's what that is? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Hi, Solar. It is kind of... You starting Resident Evil today. Did you get to play it at all yet, or is that what you're about to do? It's kind of late, isn't it? I need cores to unlock stages. You're kidding. Okay. This is hard enough just to
I
handle.
think I spotted a destroyer in the distance. Better get through this chaos and stop it before it reaches the tunnels, or we'll all be trapped in this madness.
We're gonna be trapped in this madness. Go left or right, you fool. Okay, so the blue things I'm supposed to either hit or blow up. I don't know which, because I apparently got one at some point. I don't remember doing that. And, what the hell was that? Oh, okay. You know what? What just happened? Alright, we're gonna try left because that was clearly not working. This is the same thing. Go fast. Oh yeah, that worked great. That's working great. That's working great. Don't mind me about to blow up. I missed the health because I'm me. Use the shield, shoot the guy with the awkward... I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I think that car we very briefly saw was what I was supposed to fight and kill. No, I ran out of time. It blatantly said out of time. I did run out of time. There's a big old timer on top. Like, I never saw the objective. Like, I'm supposed to, like, catch up and destroy that vehicle, I think. I don't like it. This is another one of those ones I'm sad I don't like it, because I really wanted to like it. Like, the trailer and stuff, the vibes are great. The control scheme and the physics are deeply frustrating. Like, that last wall thing where I just, like, bounced off on the... Not the last time, but the one before that. It's like, I was going straight. What the hell just happened? Yeah, the geometry, like, it feels like your car's hitbox could be... I know it's not super realistic, but maybe slightly shrunk in terms of its width. I feel like you hit everything way too easy. I almost feel like the car is a fucking cube in terms of hitbox. I don't know. Something's off with its hitbox, it feels like. And the physics are... Like drifting usually doesn't bring you to a full fucking stop. But when you do a drift in this game, you slow down so fucking fast that you basically are just hitting the brakes. At which point, why not just make the brakes your drift button then? You know what I mean? If that's how you're going to do it. Because you already turn on a dime. I think they attempted bouncing off wall sprints. Like, genuinely. Like, I bounced most of the time. The physics just weren't great in general. And the guns being X and B, and A being shield, like, all the face buttons do something. I don't know why it was boost. And on a driving game, having all of your face buttons do something is kind of deeply weird. Having two guns with different ammo counters for left and right button is, like, cute idea, but I'd rather just have one in the fucking middle with its own ammo count if I have to worry about ammo. You know what I mean? I was expecting something closer to, like, Twisted Metal or some shit, I guess. This is an interesting aesthetic with some fun vibes, but, like, it plays very janky. This plays janky. So I'm done. That timer being what it was, like, I could try casual or whatever, like turn it down to easy mode, but that's the wrong thing. There we go. I just don't care. I just don't care. It did not do enough to make me think I should care. So we're not off to a strong start, are we? Oh, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yes, dear.
Hi.
Hi, what's up? Yes. You need something? Well, you want dinner now? I asked if you were hungry. You said no.
Yeah.
Yes. Like less than 30 minutes ago. I can start dinner. It's literally turn on air fryer, put in chicken. I don't care. It's like I could run a minute ad. Ooh, a minute ad, guys. A minute ad. Hello. She wants the Cheez-Its.
Hello. I woke it up from a nap
Normal cheese?
on the desk.
Oh. Okay. Alright. Air fryer usually doesn't take too long to preheat, so probably something I can reliably pause would be good. Or you hear me all scurry around to the kitchen. Was it a good ad? Did we get a respectable ad, or did we get AI slop, or is it like, is it mobile? Can I pause Vampire Crawlers? I have it here. I just want something I can stock, so I have to go tend to an air fryer real quick. Once it beeps. I don't know. Did you hear Kaz say hello, everybody? Or at least Liz and Spritzy. I don't know who else is hiding. Solar popped in, but I think he's sleeping, so we might be his white noise if he's even still around. So, Spritz said, "Yeah, he heard you." So he did. He said, "Hello, Cassie." All right. You know what? I'm gonna do it. You're right, Spritz. Let's do Vampire Crawlers. Oh well, there's the beep. Good timing. All right.
Chicken patties.
Open. What do you want, baby? Can't see your hand. What tree? Okay. 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Foster Farms crispy chicken patties in the thing. Oh, it starts me just right in here, huh? Like not even title screen, or did that happen while I wasn't looking? It didn't have one. Oh, and it hides. Okay, let's see here. Instant movement, invert pan, rotate map with player, power saving mode, auto end turn, 3D card view, card reordering delay, language, resolution, refresh display mode, borderless full screen. VSync on. Everything's off with VSync. Apply. Yes. Hey, okay. Now game capture. Vampire crawlers. Show up for mommy. There we go. Okay. Get this button. We're over here now. I had to fix it. It commit the cardinal sin in my world of launching an exclusive full screen. I genuinely believe games should not do that anymore. I was thinking about that earlier. Like, it actively pisses me, and usually my computer off. To its credit, it did not piss off my computer. It actually detected my monitor resolution for the first launch, so it didn't screw up my desktop and all this other shit that games usually do when they do exclusive resolution. So, it's fine, but I would much prefer borderless full screen in basically every modern scenario. So, I'm not even sure what the benefit of a, whatever. All right, we're going to resume. Now, can I... Good. Okay, there's rotate. Okay. Good. I can use a knife. Is there sound? Oh, there is sound. Oh my god. Please? Make the best part of these games more obvious? Deal 40 damage to Bat. I killed Bat. Oh, this is a fucking quiet one, isn't it? Okay, spacebar lets me just throw knife. Knife killed 3 guys. Level up, choose reward, King Bible. Well, yeah, no, this is max volume on my end. So capture... I'm turning this up abnormally high. How's that? Can you hear me still? Like, that's way higher than usual. Okay, we have destructible objects. We have pancakes. Combo multiplier, yes. Bats again. So we go 0, and then we go 80. And boom, and we get more XP, and it's this. Break the torch. Break the torch. Break the torch. Break the torch. Okay. Boom. Uh-oh. Oh, they just came forward. Okay. And we get an axe. Chance of knockback. I see how that's relevant now. Break this box. Oh, that's where a torch was. So, 0, 1, 2. Oh, I'm out of juice. Oh. And that costs 2, so I'd have to do a 1, 2 to do it. Can we start with 1? Doesn't matter, they died for their life. Spinach, deal more damage. Apparently I took damage somewhere in there. What? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm assuming Wiggly Boy, you mean the ones in the front. Okay, so, okay, 0, 1, 2. Okay. Chicken's fine. It doesn't need the big hole. Oh, they're guarding. Oh, because they always guard it. They always guard it. 0, 1, 2. Then they rotate, you fucking cowards. But I got Santa water! Free! Is that because I got it this turn or something? Just to be like, hey, look what you can do. Oh. Ooh. 1, 0, 1. Because yeah. Thank you, Crawler, but the vampire's in another coffin. They always are. And you got Antonio. Welcome to the house. Their shaky can is a little weird. Hello. The average Italian in the average Italian countryside. Okay, found pancakes, reach level 10. Okay, yeah. Play stuff to earn stuff. Wow, it's like it's vampire crawlers. Vampire survivors, but as a crawler. We have world map. Arcana. Okay, graveyard seems the most appropriate place for the options menu. How's this different from the normal options menu? Paint. Alright. Best viewer, streamview.com. Oh, remove the space. Oh, bam. Ooh, Vortex of Doom. Okay, we have Mad Forest. We have the Village. We have Mad Forest, Village, Mad Forest, Village, and Mad Forest, and the Village, and the Mad Forest. Choices. Once a thriving haven now done dumping ground for evil. Vampire is said to be the root of this evil, but we can find only mayhem and roast chicken. That sounds familiar. There's an unlock here. Difficulty 1. Kill a man. Oh, hey, we can actually go places. Can I write this? Oh. Do they ever move? It would seem no.
Stronger.
Sure, man. Okay, so. Oh, they're dead. Okay, so I need. Did I have a 1? I had a spinach. Oop. But red is good. Prioritize attackers, damage. Okay, let me go get the chimkin. Get back! Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. What luck does? Oh, fortunate. Gotcha. That makes sense. Get a 1, I guess. Sure, man. Okay, there's another.
Wicked, I say.
I mean, I'm going to go everywhere. But what kind of game do you think I'm playing?
Yeah, well.
Oh yeah, the Spanish does care. Okay, so that's for the turn at least. Hello.
To your aid. Stop.
More Bible, more wand. I mean, free things are free, but they limit my potential? I can see the challenge there. The gambit, as it were.
I say.
Damage is adding up over the course of the run. Got it. Okay. Oh, I want to smash. Let me smash. These are sprites. It's interestingly messy. Aesthetic. The trees are Minecraft style pixels with depth. That's the boss. Just a bat. I know, but I like smashing.
Yes. Welcome.
Good, bitch. Like that? That looks smashable. Rude. Time for the big bets.
My strength is your shield. Attack.
And a bite of chicken. Woo! Laugh harder, you say?
Stop. You're welcome.
That makes sense. There's nobody there. Help, I've taken 2 damage.
To your aid. Attack.
I win. I'm good damage chance of not. That's a good by bell. That's a leveled up by bell. Sarah dig a hole. Apparently hole take me to other part of forest. I see your purling noise clouds. Is this the hole I came out of? Relic found. Gem hammer unlocks ability to add gems to cards, find gems in chests, or when leveling up. Like this? Oh my. Let me really think about my choices. Oh. It was scaling with my spinach. I'm a fool. Alright. That makes sense to me. Put on the one that you're going to end a combo with. Boom, and now it's boosted.
Yes.
they're dead. Have a nice day. I saw something. Oh, it's over there. There's something shiny. Bonk, bonk. Must be over because it won't let me pick the third one. Oh, that log. I can use arrow keys. Left hand is viable. Left hand viable. I'd groove it, but I have chicken. You see. It won't help me if you do this. Uh-oh. I'm getting bombed.
My strength is your shield. I say.
Yeah. Hello. No survivors.
Yes, I say. Welcome.
Ooh. Yes. What?
There's Peter.
Where? Oh yeah, look at that. I haven't seen a spider in the house in a while. This one? What did I miss? Oh shit, you're right. Oops. Well, let me finish. Not great. Antonio with Biblioteca. You touch me.
Whip it.
Goodbye. You.
Farewell.
You. Well, you guys did any benefits. That would hurt me a little more. I like noise. Gee, let me think. This one... Whip sucks. There must be an upside on this side. Funny plan. I mean, I'm sure there are more of everything later. I'm not
To your
worried
aid.
about that.
Attack.
Literally the start of the game. Like, even the source material is
Whip it.
prone to growing from a very small base to something bigger as you play it. It's kind of what you signed up for with this, you know?
I say.
I say. Oh, that one seems bad. Anyway, your turn to die. I can't combo, but I can hit you with spinosh. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, I see what you're saying. This time will come. I don't think I've seen knockback actually go on. Magic wand, prioritize attackers. You know what? I need more zeros in my pile, it seems, so. Love to see like a 2 once in a while, but I get what we're going for. We don't have a lot of blue. A lot of blue to work with. Wrong. Nobody goes back. Okay. Well, they're dead now. Look at all these guys. Yeah. Sorry, you were facing the other direction a second ago, and I was like, oh, he's dancing. But he's not dancing. He's just a momentary lapse. Hello, little green guy. Wait. Oh. Oh, was I supposed to do that a lot more, I take it? Okay. What, baby? Uh-huh. Spam to XP. I thought I had to aim or something. My bad. I thought I'd have to think. My bad. Yeah. Sweet cat me. Good? You need more? Okay. I don't know. I don't know how hungry you is. I'm not psychic. I'm just psycho. Why not? Hee hee hoo hoo get wrecked.
To your aid. Start.
Wand is not great, is it?
Yes.
Of course, that's all I got.
You're welcome.
Not great hands. Love bigger hands. Oh! Choose a gem. Draws a card. Oh, play it and you draw a card. That's interesting. Increase might stat, adds armor. These are all good. I would love to have bigger hands. Like, I've said that about every... Give the whip a purpose. Hi. Come to kill your ass. Fuck you. God damn.
My strength is your shield. Yes.
kill something. Thank you. Good grief. Yup. Oh, we're gonna keep doing that to the whips. Give them a purpose. Thank you.
Attack! Whip it! Farewell.
Oh, hiding behind your little flunky. Come on. That's all right. Increases area stat. Oh, how much it do? Wand doesn't really do more area, does it? Get my combo break or something, I guess. I don't know. Probably should have saved damage for that, but whatever. Whatever.
To your aid.
Do the whip. Do the biblio. Do the biblio too. Okay. Now, spinach, knife. We have a 2. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop. Sorry, I had to break your torch, asshole. Important. Boom.
Welcome.
Boom. Boom. Yes. What do you got? Armor, might, damage. Armor could be good. Armor is, do it to you. Doubling damage on the axe would have been smart. Whatever. That's fine. Make the wand a little more useful. Armor seems quite good, actually. 0, 1, 2. And okay.
To your aid.
Alright. Gotta make sure I don't miss any torches, you see. They are the literal most important thing in the world. Dude, these are like traps or something? I don't know. What, 11 defending, 5 attacking?
Start. Farewell.
I'm liking this a lot. This is... Oh, this whip's special. That's a special whip! Oh! I gotta get the special whip! I gotta ghost ride my whip! What's that? Don't. What is that? That funny skull? It's a skull. Sorry, that was breaking my little brain. I had to know. Yeah. Yeah. Oh well. Antonio. Armor. And murder. Got bombed. Nani? Sees vision? That's disappointing, but whatever. That's a funny skull plant. I like him. I want to take him home. He's my pet now. And everyone dies. I axe often, but when I do, it's yummy yummy. Is there anything in here? No? Okay, time to get on with it. Okay. One whip that's not special. That, ow. God, that really hurt. Fuck you. I will take another axe, thank you. Okay, they're torches? They're just torches. No, they're just bushes? Why are they marked like they're places you can go if they're just bushes? Okay, magic wand, knife. At least they have some armor.
My strength is your shield.
Jeez, I'm getting close. My hands are garbo, man. Okay, spinach with the... There we go, something. God. Promise it's all in that deck, too, so if you get too many bad ones in a row, you're just gonna have a bad time. Gosh. I guess it's just these bushes? These delicious bushes?
Farewell.
Farewell. I'm a murderer, Chief. The flowers are the boss. Oh no! That would have been fun. Oh, the mantis is the boss, I see. That makes sense, actually.
Stronger. I say.
Okay, we have a whip.
Wicked.
Bible. We have a knife. We have a bat.
Welcome.
Spinach, knife, axe. Let's get another axe in play, but I don't get that many. I'm gonna hit. At least this turn, I get to go off with it. Yes, I see your funny little dance, and you are a very funny little guy. I knocked you back, so it does work once in a while. Thank God. Whip, Bible, axe, whip. Oh. Okay, that's just man. Oh, it's actually letting me do that for once. Choose a gem. I mean, might built into some of these would be good, I think. Just on the axe. Slap it on the other whip. Oh, hi. How are you? Okay. New unlocks. A few. Empty Tome, Fire Wand, Hollow Heart, Gennaro the Inn, Crawler Selection unlocked. Collected 250 coins. I've unlocked the power-ups. Inlaid Library, next map. Medusa, Scary, Gem Hammer. Okay, we get power-ups. Now, attack deals splash damage of 10% per rank. Thank you. 2 armor per rank. Just have that. Okay. Duration. Duration crawlers stay by... Oh, how long your crawlers last in turns. Growth, more XP per rank. Always a winner. Increase luck by 25%. That's fine. Increase max health. Always good. Deal more damage. Always good. Heal HP after encounters. Okay. And reroll chances. Okay. And then over here is Antonio. interesting. Wait, they have one card in their hand to start? Is that what it's saying? He's 500. Alright, buy my people. It's just that's their starting deck, is what I'm saying. And then all of a sudden, like, nope, just that. Like, okay. He gets 4. Needs damage. I mean, what's
Magic is not to be feared.
Oh, okay.
You must have heard of me.
An admirable choice.
Okay. The Gorton Bell. Then with what's left, 300 is not much. We can get duration, which makes her last longer. And that's the one that really sounds interesting to me, so whatever. Okay. And from there, we have the gate, which is fine. Oh, I see. Okay. No, probably not another run right now, because I do want to get to more demos. This is interesting. I would like to... Okay, I guess escape just goes back and forth between these two. So if I go to another spot, escape goes to world map. That makes a level of sense. I'm just like, alright, enter options. Is that where fucking leave it? That's the menu. Yes. Oh, there's always another way out, Spritzy. Our old friend Alt F4. Alt F4 will always be my friend. If Alt F4 doesn't work, you're in a nightmare. You've officially entered the bad place. So, yeah, that's fine. I like that. I can see the potential of that growing. I'll play with that more later. Because if I grow impatient with your menus and Alt F4 works, I'm going to Alt F4 because I'm me. That over by Tito on things I want to do in my own time. Okay. That was kind of time. What's Mio Aquaria? I don't even remember what I downloaded. Let's look. Let's look. Oh, well, it found it. This game is currently in development. It's got a cat. Well, you know why I'm here. Oops, I clicked. I'm cats. I'm cats. I'm cats. Here we go. Cats. This is the deep sea, home to countless aquatic creatures. Deep beneath the ocean where no one dares to venture, lies the greatest underwater aquarium management company, Starvey.co. You know what? I would have just said under the ocean is cats. Really throw people off. Oh, well, I would have been right. Whoosh whoosh, as one does. Manager Kano. You know why you were summoned here, don't you? Once again, you submitted some very interesting proposals. Naturally, they're hardly different from the last ones. Whoosh whoosh, murr 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 murr. Weekly paid leave, a new employee training system. Do you really think this helps company management? But until now, this company has ignored standard labor laws. We're cats, we don't give a fuck! I've heard enough of your nagging. Guards! Demote him to a remote deep sea outpost aquarium. Make sure I never see his face again. Thud. That feels much better. I'm chairman. What is it now? I'm a lady cat. It's anyways a perfect solution. However, that outpost has no director, has been indefinitely suspended. Assigned manager without a superior violates regulations. Of course, Chairman, you may ignore the order if you wish. I wouldn't object. Swish, swish, bitch. Hayes, I have a good idea. Or I should have done whisper, whisper before that. Oh, I get it. Excuse me? That's what you get when you shout, excuse me. This is the aquarium they reassigned us to. I'm working with the janitor. Abandoned outpost. Get to rebuild it. Experience taught me to prepare for these situations. I brought supplies. Let's get started. Operations manual. Please take a look around while I determine our initial course of action. Oops, well, that got skipped. Try moving the camera. Right-click dragging or using WASD. Okay. Try zooming with probably the wheel? Yeah. I reviewed the manual. We begin by constructing a fish tank. Place a fish tank. Hold left mouse button and drag to select an area, then place fish tank. Okay. Oh, this, and this. Okay. Place some fish. Select fish tank and place a fish. Open the fish tank decor tab at the bottom. I'm going to place fish tank items, fish, feed, soil, plants, rocks. Okay, we need to place fish. Fish tank. Blue tank. Blomp. More fish. You said a fish, you liar. That'll look a bit plain. Place one soil in each fish tank. Place soil into fish tank. Okay. Only one soil can be placed. He's going to change its appearance. Okay. What's this? Okay. Game, I guess. Okay, we're doing some sort of... Water quality gets less shitty. Temperature gets hotter. Okay. Okay, water quality of fish tank must be higher than the water quality required by the fish. Yes. Placing rocks and plants ornaments inside fish tank, just empty scroll. Okay. Okay. Heal. Water quality. They make it shittier with their poops. Temperature. They require soil. Okay. Needs at the right temperature. Temperature type. Normal, hot, cold. Fish tank should be 15 and 60. Just don't replace rocks in the fish tank. Oh. Rocks and trees and trees and rocks. Oh, gotcha. Okay. So I place... Oh. Oh, you can set the order. There we go. Rocks. Not where I clicked, but okay. Feed them with food. Buy veggie flake. Buy veggie... Ugh. Use related options such trade builder feed selection about this situation. Okay. So I need to... Buy veggie flake. Okay. On the place was like food and place it on fish tank. Yeah, you already told me that. Meh? No. Oh, I placed the food. Okay. Temperature, water quality, and provide enough food. Fish health reaches zero, the fish will die. Fish health increases if required temp range, and water quality is not better. The fish becomes hungry for not eating enough feed. We're almost done. For veggies, view the fish tank will need a view seat from the bottom place and I said view seat right at the bottom aquarium. Okay, we're making an aquarium for visitors. Okay, fuck that one spot in particular. We need light. These dark areas make business staff uncomfortable. Place less than highlighted areas. Uh-huh. Yes, you're kind of repeating yourself a lot. That's why I should do the trick. I'll take a placement for some lights. Alright, the aquarium is starting to look decent. Shall we open aquarium? It's our first day of business. Open aquarium. Open aquarium. 16 hours a day. Press the pause game or play to resume adjust game speed. You literally just said that. Shut up. What's this button? Fish. Stuff. Items. Facility. Cool. Alright. So. Cool. What do you got? Yeah, we've seen all this. Our call is red. Thank you. It's gonna keep wiggling, huh? Someone is coming. Oh, this shows where lights are. Okay. So traits. Traits. Abby's the owner and I'm the manager. Okay. They come in. They look at fish. Entrance fee rises. Visitor expedition increase. Repetition. Okay. So. Alright, I think I get it. We just kind of vibe for a little bit. We make some money. I don't see one. Oh, there's my money. Okay. Expeditions. That's gonna be a thing. Daily report. Cat. User review score. Suck shit. Fuck you. Trade. We can buy veggie flakes. That's it. All right. This is our time for the day and our pause and play. You make it faster. Thank you. How about it? Oh, great work today. Shall we take a look at how things went? Close. Day 1. Got a reputation. Okay. Here's your review score. This keep the review score of a Korean short hair cat is 1 or higher. Visitor count +1. I see. The different kinds of cats have different entrance fees, facility fee. Oh. Fuck you. All right. Apply for independence license. Let's see. You pay loan, get a loan, scream. See you the next day. Saving company records. Okay. Day, just in time the support shipment I secretly ordered from headquarters has arrived. Expand the aquarium a bit first. How about expanding the structure where you can place more facilities, place structures in highlighted areas? Yes. Hold left mouse button to drag select an area and expand this facility. Okay, thank you. Build materials, thank you. Okay. Build a structure here. Thought I did. Did I have to here? Oh. Oh, walls are automatic. I see. Okay. Tube station. Place the tube station. It's elevators. It's elevators. It's just elevators. Expedition can obtain special resources, fish, or soil, rocks, and plants. Place expedition. Oh, yeah. Assign staff to expedition. I understand the idea here. Okay. Boom. Expeditions. Hire staff to work in the office. Hire a new staff member. Staff hired on top left corner to view explanation by currently employed staff. Hire new staff. Okay, we got Fiona, Salem, and Raggle. I like the name Raggle, but Fiona is like trans colors, so I feel obligated as part of the brand. Boom. Okay, I've hired a bitch. Shall we try sending an expedition? Some guys would not stop us sending an expedition. Yeah. You literally... You need to stop repeating yourself. It's really frustrating. Okay. So. Coral Seas could get all of these things. Okay, this is more likely to get fishes. This is more likely to get food. Kind of want the fishes, don't I? Different fishes would let me build better aquarium. But food would let me not pay money for food. And I could get this funny thing. Okay, we're gonna do that. Build material, so I can build. I'm getting it, I think. Assign. Send. Manta ray. That manta ray. Okay. Cargo crate or icon. Got it. Research lab. Okay. We have a research tree. Okay. What if oxygen not included? We got rid of the oxygen and added a lot more cats. Got it. Okay. Still have not played. Hire staff. You're fun. Classes. You're also glad. I think that's just part of the game. Swift is a good name for someone I think should be good at research, but you two are clones. I don't want to separate the pair, so we're going to do Swift. It's inconsiderate. Staff only door. The staff only door in your work office in the expedition office in front work. Okay. I really like placing a door. Yeah, I kind of figured. Okay, we're gonna place a staff door. Let's place some lights. I kind of figured. Well, that's a fun one. All light. Wait. Flip with middle click. Oh. Floor light. You're really letting me just kind of go off with that. I feel like that could all just been one light. Kitchen mug. Yep. Slow clap for Liz. Slow clap for Liz. That is a... Okay, we are researching. We have visitor count increase. Veggie wafer. Protein flake. Protein pill. Okay, yeah, lots of stupid. Alright, cool. I'm sure I'll get a lot of freedom over the course of this day. Okay, open manual save. Sure. There you go, we saved. Can I mark any of this? Please stop bugging me with this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. We got lots of expansions to our crap, it seems. Alright. Now we open the aquarium. Now don't you fuckers need food or something? Health is high. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Okay. So we want to go fast as hell, right? Because otherwise we're just going to be here till we die of old age. And they're researching. Only one cat per station. Okay. Oh, something happened. Visitors want to eat food. We should place a restaurant. Place a restaurant, hire staff to satisfy visitors' food needs. Okay, visitor staff are assigned to sell food to visitors. Sure, you now officially place a new fresh waffle stand. Okay. Pause. Here's what we're gonna do. Fresh waffle stand. Go outside? No, it's gotta be inside. So I need to... I'm actually getting permission to expand. Make some room over there. We're gonna fish waffle stand. Okay. And we're going to assign a staff. Bori's a fun name. Zen is good. We'll do that. And we have to purchase fish waffles, but we also need to light this bitch. So we're gonna go right here. We're just gonna have one dark little corner, and you can deal with that for now until I get more stuff. And we're gonna buy some fish waffles. Uh-huh. Can I, there it is. I forgot what I was doing. How much money do I have? Just give me the full thing. And while I'm at it, go ahead and give me a bunch of these too. Cool. And resume. Oh shit, no, I forgot something important. There we go. Now you can buy fish waffles. Alright. We're making some money. Making some money. We've got fish. Where do I buy seats? I don't remember. I don't see seats. Maybe I can't buy seats again yet. I mean, they sit to look. I mean, I'd want one more just to make it even. You know what I mean? Oh, we're almost done with that. I gotcha. Okay, goodbye, moon. Oh, yeah, she did. You're right. We got 300 coins, some build materials, the coral rings, and veggie flakes. Alright, cool. So if I do another expedition, this one is fine, but this one has new fish. I do want new fish eventually. So we're sending her out. She can do that. Alright? Alright. Our reputation went up, so our distance a little higher. It's a little higher. This keeps shaking. I don't... Reputation progress. Let's go. Make me cool. Make me cool. Review score. Make me cool. Not cool. We spent money, but we gained money. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Now we need to refill our fish waffles. And our fish food is more than fine. Okay, so I can't really do anything else yet, right? So I guess we just go through all this crap until it decides I've seen them, I guess. Please, for the love of God, shut up. Stop telling me I haven't seen them. I've seen them. It's been very in my face about it. I'm begging you. Ugh, okay. Whatever. How's our research? Can we do anything with our research? No. We have 132 research. I mean, it says it's... whatever. Okay. Daily first account reached by 2. This value takes effect starting the next day. Yep. That means we get more people, you see. And more people means more. Start the day? What? I spent it. Why are you lit up? Yeah, so shut up. Exclamation marks. Same with this. New tutorial content available. Click to view tutorials. See, it's annoying. All right, next day. I'll explain visitor preferences. Depending on the type of visitor, they may like specific fish, food, or drinks. Okay. Head for what they like first. Try placing fish, restaurants, and facilities like vending machines in suitable locations so visitors can enjoy what they like at close range. Okay. Visitors see or purchase something they prefer, they gain greater satisfaction. Also earn additional hearts. With the hearts you earn, you can create a special featured fish. Standout fish with higher appeal. Okay, visitors earn affection points by viewing favorite fish or purchasing items. Yeah. Use hearts to create a featured fish. Featured fish have higher appeal. Uh-huh, so we're gonna save. Cool, thanks. So what do we have available to us right now? Frankly, quite little at this point. We know very little about what this guy likes. He likes Blue Tang, he likes Wonk. So he's pretty happy right now. There's really not a lot to do presently. Like, it's an overwhelming amount of information, but also just nothing happening. So I guess it's sort of normal for the genre a little bit, but I'd like more decisions. How long have I been playing this one, you know? Give me some decisions to make. So far, my decision has been where to set up the waffle stand. He wants to drink a beverage! We should place a spooky, ooky vending machine. Also, because my only open spot's this dark corner. Uh-huh. Continue. Continue. Pause. Hey, there we go. Coffee machine. Oh my god, it's huge. Okay. I'm gonna need to build some space. Alright. I'm gonna take down a door I don't want anymore, but whatever. So put this over here. Cats may like this. Okay, and we need a light for a dark and spooky corner. Love to. Oh, those are removed, but. Okay, so I'm gonna move the door. I can do that, and then I can go in here and I can just make that. Okay, and then how much is a ceiling light? 20. Yeah. I can do that. And yeah. I can put this here, and now everything's nice and lit. Okay, and then I go into the shop, not the codex. And I light up the codex, I need this. We buy a buttload of that. Okay. And then we resume time, and this guy gets real confused how this entire area just appeared out of nowhere. I forgot to hire someone. Pause. Wait, no, they can just buy it. It's a vending machine. Oh. Okay, well then, fine. Yeah, they're happy as clams. They're having a great time. I wonder if I could build up as well as down. I mean, it's cool they add the pillars as we go. That's nice. Yeah, I see you. You have items. Ooh, we have coffee now. Facility. Ooh, we have a vending machine. I'm well the fuck aware. We have enough to do this. Veggie wafer. Oh, hey, look at that. Way up here. New fish, gray angel fish. Alright. Does this zoom out then? Oh yeah, it does, okay. I like this background. That makes me happy. Hey, did you know the otter cat likes the water cat? Look at that, look at that. Oh, look at that, look at the water. Look at that pretty. I forgot how to make a good water shader. Like, my background in the cave is fine to start. Goodbye! But it's just kind of, you know, it needs work. Working on it. Well, you're back. Alright. What'd you get? Fish. First checkpoint discovered. Oh. Okay. Purple Antheas, conch, fanflora, MSS. Okay, we got new fish. Ooh, building supplies, go. Okay. Okay. Oh, and time does pass when I'm in menus, for better or worse. Almost wish I could make it fucking faster, you know what I mean? Like, oh my god, it takes forever. Can you imagine letting this run at single speed? I would lose my cotton pick and mine. I'd go insane. There was a waffle right... Okay. Sure, man. And we're almost to whatever this is. I'm still spending a lot of money, but it is going up. It's going up. So that's good. These guys need to be fed. Just do the next day, I guess. I don't know. Damn. This one? Mio Aquia or something like that? You want it? You can play the demo right now. I don't think it's out yet. This looks like a you thing, baby. That looks like a Kazi game. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. You do like your buildings and low stress and kitty cats. Huh? We could play Journey House Journey, not tonight, but generally, yeah. I would love to add fish. The problem is... I need somewhere to do it and the ability to build more seats. All I have is fish tank. Structure, work, restaurant, vending machine. Like, they haven't given me the ability to build more seats, so if I make a fish tank, they can't sit and look at it. Oh, fuck, you're right. That is so fucking stupid. Okay. Holy shit. Visitors seem to want to rest. Place a nap nook to satisfy visitors' needs for rest. That's adorable, actually. Alright. Listen. It's stupid, but hear me out. They can take little kitty naps in the kitty nap nook. Bitch. Well, we're doing two. Fuck you. Okay. Listen. I need somewhere to put a door. Right here. Boom. Alright. We need lights. About one above each. Sounds about right. There we go. Kitty nap nook. Let's just blind them. Let's blind them with light while they're trying to sleep. I'm sane. Alright. Spritz found the thing. Okay, so while we're at it, how's our building supplies? We got plenty, right? So, let's go up here, let's place the second frickin' floor, right? Wait, I think it's this one? This one's 4, so we want 4. Let's start with that. Okay. And make a tank. We're going to make a tube. I'm actually making decisions. I'm making decisions! Okay. Well, we need light. We need a backlight above the door. That's where they wanted it. And we'll put a light up here. Okay, and in this fish tank, we need to assign fish. Now we have Purple Queen. We're going to put 1, 2, 3 Purple Queens. We're going to feed Purple Queens. We're going to... temperature needs to be higher. That's fine. And the water quality needs to go up. And they need spewing seeds. That's easy. Womp, 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 womp. Okay, now. We need soil, probably. Okay. The fish is a Purple Queen. They don't give a shit. They don't even need... Oh! A 4th one would make them happier. Okay. Now, I can, however, come down here and make him a star. Oh, never mind. It was lit up. I thought I could do it. Okay. So, you have soil. You need more temperature, which means plant. Right? Water quality goes up. I thought that increased temp, too. Am I stupid? How do I increase temperature? Rock made it cooler, I thought. Temperature actually does get a lot higher. Okay, you're right. Oh, I'm out of rock. Okay, there we go. Temp good, fish fed, room accessible, and they can take naps. Boom! I now have extra fishes. I now have all this. Yes, and then come down here and do this business. All is Gucci, I think, until they say they need to poops. It reminds me of theme park, but without the theme park. I think it's kind of a theme park. It's an aquarium, so. Oh, why wow? What has warranted the wow? Oh, hey, we can do a thing. It's research time. Did you get the fish? I think we should. Okay, we've unlocked the coral fish. We can make another fish. I thought he just died. I've been playing too much Cult of the Lamb. It paused and zoomed. I'm like, he's dead! He's a dead cat! Facilities are in need of repairs. Place a maintenance room and hire staff. Okay. Alright. We're going to pause. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to build. Or down here. There we go. Okay. Since it's already my staff area. I'm going to put you right here. Continue. We're going to... what's the best choice here? we need to hire Jasmine. Oreo. His name is Oreo. Done. Done. His name is Oreo. Okay, and we play. And Oreo shows up. Oreo's on the clock. Oreo's gonna go fix it. Oreo's doing his job. Look at him go. Look at the little man go. Fuck this tube. I gotta fix this tube. This tube is my entire job. Boom. Expedition's done. Coins and materials, baby. Alright, so we want at least one more of this thing. So we're gonna do this one. So we get one more of that thing. Then they have a school and their appeal goes up and cats get happier. I'm figuring it out. Now that it's letting me do things, I'm figuring it out. Literally just let me do things. You know what I mean? Just let me do things. I could build another tank over here, I suppose. Right? We do a lot of things, frankly. Might wait till the day's done, see how we're doing. So I do have, I think, one other kind of fish. Now, in theory, I can also pair them into a single thing, so... Like, I probably could have put them in here with those guys, just made that a better tank. Thinking about it. Whatever, we're figuring it out. That didn't move much. That's a bummer. I was pretty happy with my space. Oh, no! Okay. So, we're hemorrhaging money, because I'm bad at sim games. That's really important to note. This kind of game, not good at it. Really bad at it, actually. Stock up on that. We can now buy conch. Oh. No, I can't. I have two. Normal, coral, expedition, appeal, needs soil. I like to look at it better, but it doesn't want to let me. If I go in here. Alright, is this... Doesn't say anything about schooling this guy. So the conch, I could go in here, right? I could come in here. And I could put these dudes. And now I've got a couple guys just wandering around. But they're hungry. So now I need veggie wafers. So that's what they eat. They eat that, and they're happy. Now everyone's happy. Okay. I'm figuring this shit out. So the population. Okay. Okay. This one can't have much more in it, but it has this little dude in it. Look at him go. Okay. And then Codex is like, hey, you have frickin' maintenance costs now. Hey, carry on. Yeah, I can go ahead and sting in manual save. Probably the last day. We should probably move on. There's the name if you need it, baby. Neo Aquaria. And, so I've appealed to at least one person. It's not bad. It's a little hand-holdy at the start. I don't know what to expect out of the length of the demo. I'm not sure it's entirely... I mean, like, this is chill. I don't know if it's a stream thing. It'd be a good before-bed thing or something, you know what I mean? It's a good unwind game. So yeah, probably last day for the stream. I might play more on my own time. We'll see. But it is a little monotonous for an audience, I fear. Doesn't make it bad. Just means I worry you guys will pass out on it. So, oh, he's tidying up the fish tank. They're doing their thing. Oh, he wants to purchase goods. Oh my god, I love that shop, though. Build materials plus 30. Okay, we're gonna pause. We're gonna do this again. This one. The world's most amazing looking hat shop. Dear artist, A+, no notes. Love that. That is the greatest fucking thing I've seen all day. That's so good. Like, it's not quite an axolotl, but it kind of is. Like, what is that? Look at it. And the eye shines are opposite in a way that makes him look just kind of derpy, but like, oh my god, I love him. I love him! Hiring another staff member, Marlo Patches. I love the name Patches, and Jade. We're gonna do Patches, just based on the vibes of the name. And we're going to go by Bottlenose Dolphin Headband. Because I'm not spending enough money every day. I'm down to 4 digits. Oh yeah. Item. Bottlenose Dolphin Headband. To satisfy their shopping desire, you see. This face here, this would be the YouTube thumbnail if I had my way right now. Like, I just like a print screen. All right, we're save Steam screenshot. That thing rules. I approve. Oh my god, it's animated. No, what do you want? I was looking at that. It looks. What happened? Did I break? Oh, I hit a. Oh. Yeah, there's a hotkey for that somewhere. There's a hotkey. I guess it's one of my Steam keys. Sorry. Looks like the visitor spent all of their money. They want to withdraw more. Okay. Okay, we can now convince you to build. They need a move building button. Oh my god! Like, I'd put the ATM right here. Like, hello, I see you're about to purchase a bunch of bullshit. Would you like to withdraw more funds? Do these all need new tabs? Like, is there something I need to know about the future? It'll click to make it align with that somewhat. Okay, and it needs another light, because I can put it right here. Come to the ATM of Doom! Yeah, prey upon them. Put the ATMs out. You'll see in a second. As soon as it starts going, boom. There it goes. Look at that fucking thing. New favorite thing. Ah, shit. You're right, I did put on the... I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. Look at that thing! Oh, that thing is good! I love it! Highlight of the whole game right there. We have 200. We can unlock a new food we don't need. We can wait and unlock new visitors. Okay, whatever. We're up to 49. So our appeal is going up. People are paying more for admission, and they are leaving happier, and they are spending more money. God help us all. And they're taking naps. Sometimes you're just like, I'm tired. Let me take a nap. Sometimes they come down just confused about the purpose of life. This guy wants everything but decided to take a nap instead. That's not my fault. Alright. Alright. Oh, our thing's back. We got him. We got what I wanted. And we got this thing. Alright, cool. So now they have a school's worth. And I can sell extras for money, too, I think. So, go for it, honey. Send. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up here. And we're going to add... And we're going to come in here and see if we have enough population for another one of these guys. To add a plant, a soil or plant. That is way too big. Pardon me, what are you doing? Did you just fall overboard? What was that about? There we go. Now this should have a bunch of shit arranged here. Let's double check everything. We're in temperature range. Appeals up to 26. It's overpopulated. It's overpopulated. We need to remove something. I guess let's remove him. He overdid it. You just jump in. You visiting aquariums, jump in. Oh, fish pets. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't mind me. I'm an idiot. And our money is slowly going up. Okay, day 5, and we're gonna hit level 2. And that seems like a good marker for now, right? Like, hey, we hit reputation 2. Yay! Did this go up? It stayed exactly the same. Fuck your fluffy little ass. I represent the World Aquaria Organization, the governing body responsible for overseeing registered marine facilities. Facilities marked as inactive for many years. We do not expect operations to resume. However, your recent activity has been verified. Your reputation has increased. As it rises, the organization will grant various operational privileges, including access to licenses and regional authorizations. We have already received authorization for a new expedition destination. Effective immediately, expeditions may now be dispatched to the tropical region. Bureaucat. Additionally, Burmese-type cat visitors are expected to begin arriving. Oh, they're going to want different things, right? Hey, look at that. Number down, number up. That's what you want, right? That's what you want. It's still not profit, but it is... It is something. It is something. Okay. This is an interesting way to cut off that button. I don't know how I feel about that button. Oh, our reputation, our research, pretty stable, and how much happy we get. Okay. And we got turtles. Hawksbill sea turtle. We get, well, there you go. There you go. Look at these fucking boys. Look at these fucking boys. Look at this thing. Wow. Oh, we got new fish tank stuff. Okay, so it took a bit to open up, but it's getting there, right? And the art direction is great. I'm actually really happy with the art direction. Again, not sure if it's a great streaming game, so we're probably going to call it here for now. I will probably play this more later. This is solid. Slow start, kind of a bitch in terms of like repeating itself, but once you get going, it's very charming. Very charming. It's a little make your own like aquarium theme park with cats in a very cute art style, and we cannot forget the greatest man that's ever lived. Look at this guy. All right. But yeah, I think that's enough for this one. I did break 10,000, so something happened where I am back to 5 digits now. So I'm not doing great, but I'm not doing terrible. Okay, and it's apparently been updated. We got a change log. So it's they're actively working on the demo and everything. We got our tutorial window. We got so many ways to reach that stupid thing. Coming soon. Well, there you go. There's what's coming soon. What do you think? What do we think? You're right, that is the boy. We can get the sea slug boy and the sea bunny. Like, the art direction is excellent. Like, genuinely superb. I can't achieve the boy. They're saying he's coming soon in the full game. I can only achieve the boy if I buy the game. In the full game, enhanced cat and fish system. More species of cats and fish in full version. New and exciting trait to add to both cats and fish. New expedition regions and research effects. New facilities. Competitions and story. And an event special event. Yeah, so... look, this is solid. Ooh, I'm gonna sneeze. Real bad. Forgive me. I should say that before the sneeze next time. Oh yeah, no, it said there'd be a story plot. So yeah, I feel inadequate about the water in my cave. Look at it. Look how Non-reflective it is. I need to figure out how to fix that. It's been driving me crazy since the moment I started. I want it translucent and reflective. And apparently in Godot, if you add alpha to something, the default reflective nature stops working. So I need to like composite in that refraction myself in the shader, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to figure it out without just downloading a fucking water shader because I want it to look like I made the thing. I don't know. I'm stubborn and stupid, and I should just get a thing. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. Forgive me. I'm losing my mind. Say goodbye to me, Aquaria. Boom. Okay. How do I quit? Return to title screen. There we go. Exit game. All right. Birds here? That's limited. I don't see bird. Delete system 32. You right. I'm on it. I am absolutely on it. Okay. We are between games. That one was quite long. It says last ad was over an hour ago. So I'm going to run ads and check on my wife, and I'll be back in 3 minutes or so. Get a stretch in. I'll let the ads run in the background. I get money. You get a stretch. Everyone wins. Get some water. See all this down here? This is supposed to be water. Look at what's supposed to be water. Look upon my water. I tried. At least I got the vertex thing working, and you can see through it to the ground. One thing at a time. Okay. Here comes the BRB screen. Boop. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'll be back in a second with more game. Yes. do you mean 5-second ad? I said 3 minutes. Is there been 5 seconds? Oh, as long as it still pays me. I don't care. Don't rob me. Rob Amazon. Yes. 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 Okay. Business daddy. Okay. I would like a quick one. What do we got? Mio Aquaria, you're in. I'm going to play more later pile. Dungeon Experience, you're not going to be quick. Music Hell might be quick. Let's do Music Hell. I have so many of these. It's already been 2 hours. How much of that was just the cat game? Yeah. Give me just a sec. Okay, that just worked. Cool. Boom. Hi. This didn't tell me shit. It just threw me right in. Okay. I love you. Sorry, you're sad. Okay. What? Guys, Cassie is sad. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Oh. I think she's lonely. Yeah, leveled her in demo. Look at that. Boy, howdy, we're not even gonna try. That as loud as this is? Why would I want the menu a different volume than the rest of the game? Have I tried turning her off and on again? The dead puppies, and then Guy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh, and the volume, once again, turns off if I tab out, so I'll never know if it's right. Add more songs? I think that's trying to open something. Okay. I don't even know what we're doing, so we're going to try rock level. That was incorrect. Oh, okay. They weren't kidding. Okay. Ooh. There's no visual difference on the ones that will explode. That's a little frustrating. There's the big circle to stay here to be mostly able to react to things, it seems. Okay. This is a very long time for something to say it's a beginner level, but also... Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like Shapes and Beats at home. I haven't played Shapes and Beats, but just off the vibes. Yeah, I get it. Can I... Okay. Uh-huh. I get that, but you have to pause and hit it? Alright. I still want to avoid that thing and its little spits. Here's where I'm at.
I found your hoodie in the back. I found your hoodie in the
Oh yeah, there we go.
I found your hoodie in the back.
All right, that seems mildly impossible. What's this one? They follow you. That sucks. Oh man. It's doing the same thing. It's just aiming right at me. And punching if you get too close to the side, like. I kind of think... I don't know if this game has anything. I can set to follow my mouse. That's as fast as it's going. That's actually ass. Your recent deaths, your... Okay. I get what we're going for. I think excel time is how long it takes to follow you. So at 0, that sounds like it's max acceleration already. I mean, I can fuck with it. There's also this. I don't know what this does. Let's look. The fact that most of it is just aiming at you right out the gate is really annoying. Here's excel time on. Yeah, it's just how long it gives it acceleration, so you can have smaller movements. That's a really tiny window you add to it. Like, I'd love this as a screen shaver. Screen saver? Like, just background? Like, they had just a visual mode? Sure. And it's not horrible as a game, but, like... I like a bullet hell. And this is a little better... When it's not explicitly aiming right at you, keep in mind, of the 6 levels in the demo, 4 of them opened up with a bunch of shit going directly for you. Like, just the first thing that happens. I don't know if they do other things, because apparently I'm really bad at dealing with that. So... like, that's it. They're just coming for me, and then I have to somehow avoid that, and I'm already cornered. I have no warning where they're going to come from. I want you to stay in the middle, but they're aiming directly at you, so you're able to get kited real easy. Can I turn this off, please? Thank you. The circle is clearly trying to guide you, and like, this is the safest area to be. Like, this is kind of cool. It's not just aiming right at me, and it's got a cool visual to it. It's like, alright. And now, like, okay, we're dealing with that. And there's these little gaps going. That's bullet helling. I don't know if the rocks did or not, honestly. It's an easy way to keep your player moving in a bullet hell situation, but when it's all you're doing, it can get old really fast, and I'm already sick of it. Like, if I were in a more patient mindset, maybe. It's not innately bad. I'm not in the mood for this. I'm not in the mood for this trial and error shit right now. To be wholly honest, when it comes to stuff like this, I am more interested in score chasing and refining a skill than all or nothing. Like, if DDR kills you for missing one step, that's not fun to me. But, like, being able to work towards perfection, work better towards better scores, work towards that skill level, that I find interesting. This one's score is literally how far into the level I got. That's all it shows you is a percentage. And there's only one skill level per song. The editor is a nice touch, I guess. I don't know. I don't hate it, but it's not the kind of way I'd want to play this. If you're like a Geometry Dash kind of fan, I don't know about Shapes and Beats. Again, I haven't played Shapes and Beats. It seems to me feeling a similar vibe to that. You'd probably like it. And if I were in the right mood, I'd probably give it a little bit more of a chance, but I don't see it being my go-to over something like, I don't know, any of the other song games I have. I have Audio Surf 1 and 2. I have Miku on here. I have all kinds of crap, you know. Symphony, I guess. I have DJ Max. I got all kinds of crap, right? I'd rather play those. Now, I don't know how much later I want to do this. So for now, considering we're 2.5 hours in, I am going to go ahead. We had a specific interaction on Blue Sky, someone wanting me to try their thing. May or may not. And it did look cute. Looked like it might be a Kazi game. Looked like it might be a me game. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll try your thing. Boom, we're in. There we are. Welcome to May or May Not. Now, I think right out the gate, I've loaded a non-existent game, so we'll see what happens. Some slight UI hiccups, but whatever. Behold, creepy little girl. All right, end of the line. Train is now out of service. Please exit. Thank you for riding with us. So number 5 is here with her pigtail hands. I am now hot in my... I'm sorry, was the save icon a DS? Did I see a DS down there? Can I game pets? Immediately more favorable. Hello. Maybe it was number 3. I don't know. I did not grow up with Kids Next Door. That lighting on the model, it helps her be visible, but I'm wondering how that technically works. It doesn't go to dark entirely. Minecraft note block. That house is doing normal stuff. Welcome to Glitzberg. I'm Dictator, and this is my ship. If you want to come in, you got to pay in advance. No money, huh? And you're on your own. I'm not running a charity here. Yeah, well, maybe you can find somewhere to sleep. In that old haunted ghost town over there. You're a sentient Mr. Potato Head. Pointy. Out of order. You wish You ran into that monster they call... Coffin Annie. Pretty scary, huh? Told you it was haunted. I'll use my spotlight to help you find your way over there. Stay in the light, maybe you won't get so scared. I'm only wasting good electricity on you to get you to go away. You are awful. Okay. Like, there's spooky stuff. And I'm straight up a creature. But so is everything else. Hi! I'm going to assume the red aura is bad. I'm going to assume not having light is also bad. Town Hall? Okay. Muppet the Ripper. Sleep until noon. Now you're speaking my language. Watch a Pixar movie. Looks like this is broken. Okay. We see outside. Yeah, we can a little bit. Pretty clearly. Lock, don't know how to open it. Okay. Big metal crank. Used to be stairs here. There's not. No one could ever get past that slight hole in the floor. Mind you, it would be dangerous. But I mean, you have giant arm hands, so... Do I just sleep here? Oh, honey. Okay. You got the deed. It was in the filing cabinet you slept in. You now legally own this whole town. Alright, I guess I got money now. Miscellaneous items, big metal crate. Okay. Oh, I'm a little faster now. We've escaped the darkness. As your first night in the creepy ghost town. Ready to leave yet? Found the deed of this whole ghost town in the town hall, and it de facto makes you mayor. I think you can turn this old rubbish heap into a town, huh? I don't know why you'd bother. This lot is worthless. Might as well start by picking up all the piles of junk. Don't know what to do next. Come over to my booth and I'll laugh at you. Fuck this guy. Hey, look at that thing. Okay, that scares me back into my house. Three people and I currently have 0. Okay. Alright, so there's a lot of jump scares. And the houses are haunted and scary. The box is broken, probably because a zombie came out of it, honestly. Junkyard. Out of order. That's a machine. I guess it's like a washer or freezer or something. Okay, got broken stuff. Got another spooky house. Beware the hat hair. And that was this guy. Alright. Is time moving? It arguably is, yes. Okay. Cannot fall on the train tracks and die. I can search the trash. This used to be a can. Does that mean it's now a could? That joke took me a second and I feel dumb. Okay, we got recyclable stuff. We're foraging for junk. And the game marketed itself as creepy cozy. A little A, a little B. So, we are exploring the old... What are you? Go away. You're scaring the junk. No, I get it. Yeah, I suppose junk cannot be scared. I'm not going to keep doing that. If you're lollygagging around, you might as well make yourself useful. Fishing! Don't judge me. Okay, we move around. I'm getting vibrations. Oh. I found your rod. That's my old rod. Trying to fish back up for years. And you just got on your first go. Oh, that's just fantastic. Bit rank, but I think it'll do. Here, lass, you keep this other one. Was a bit of an oath. My name's Real McCoy. Hey guys, he's the Real McCoy. Kilroy was here. Mr. Roboto time. You got fishing rod. I like the hair Zelda hybrid item get. Alright, so the closer we get, and I got bitmap of wood. Oh, I can do this all day. You kidding me? Okay, we're done. Cool. Go away. Oh, it's you. What do you want? How's it going? Doing a spot of fishing. Alright. Alright. We've met a guy. I can't go in this house even though I can see junk in there. My goal is cleaning junk. I'm going to go out on a limb and say these hands are not physics-based. That one took a second. Wow, I'm scared all the way back to my house. All the way back to my house. Quite a run. It's quite a distance to run. All right, what's over here? Our Lady of Daily Absolutions. Hey, here's trash. Scrap wood. That one's locked. That's doing good. Got stuck and can't get out. Doors too heavy to lift on my own, but I think we could lift it if we work together. Open the workshop. Oh, that's a boy. I'm starting to think no one here is a problem. I'm just a big old... Got there for a couple weeks with nothing to eat but nuts and bolts. Sorry about that scare earlier. You just moved to Glitchburg? Well, you're fixing up this old town? That's fantastic. It's going to be a lot of work getting everything cleaned and fixed up. I think this old town has a lot of potential. Most people call me Grandfather Clock. Don't know how they came up with that. We'll not to talk too much, but I'll just keep calling you Kiddo if that's okay. There's a bunch of old machines around here that need fixing up. I like to spend my free time tinkering with them, but I haven't made much progress yet. If you want to help out, just let me know. Does that mean his big scary eye is gone? Okay. Desk in Town Hall can be for building. Something keeps knocking the mailbox open in the middle of the night. Need 2 MetaMelt. I forgot how to fix stairs. I have a crank. Alright. We're gonna go fix the recycler. Down, light moving. Alright. Who knows when it gets dark? We're doing okay. Good evening, child. Good afternoon. Tell me, are you perhaps May not? Yes, Madame Pastrami knows many things. Unfortunately, knowing everything is kind of boring. Would you like me to read your fortune, child? Sure. Let us see what the future holds. How am I cold? Ooh. We get to pick a card, any card, as time keeps going. Okay. Broken thing, telephone, bucket. I like bucket. I see a talking tin can. It keeps warm down by the dock. Okay. I see a clock. He's waiting for you to help him repair something down in the junkyard. Okay. You're the hint system. Got it. Ooh. Thanks for the help. Put junk in, turn crank, get materials. Okay. Well, good thing I did all that fishing. Okay, I got a bunch of stuff. The UI stuff could use some polish. It's very basic. Not bad, it's just very basic. What's up? Just doing... Like, I don't mind the text box so much, though. The item pop-ups are a little... Like, the pencil-y, the hand-drawn kind of basic stuff is nice. I just wish it applied to everything. Personally? Four lumboards, 2 meta metals should do it. Okay. Oh, it did count towards that though, so there's multiple ways to... Nice chain. Meet me over there. We'll figure it out. Okay. Make a project box. I need more wood. Good box. You're natural in many things, apparently. I think he makes the gong noise every time we talk. Is the time on his face the same as the one on the clock up there? Alright, fix mailbox. Let's see if the mailbox stays up. There has to be a better way to do that. I thought I could know, actually. Don't immediately know what this was made in. Like, it's not giving itself away as like Unity or anything. Could be Godot. Could be a lot of stuff. Yeah, somebody did knock over one night. Now, it is getting dark, right? And then when it gets dark, we're going to want to run home. Monster, open, don't inside. Monster, open, don't inside. Payday loans. Title loans. Kidney loans. Alright, that's a new one. That's a new one. That's an interesting little man. Okay. Listen. Screw you, creepy guy. Our Indie of Daily Absolutions. Now, it is getting dark, and soon it'll get dark enough that I'll be in trouble if I'm out, so... But, we're making headway. Town could use some lights, clearly. I do not know how that works on keyboard, and I do not care. I'm having a great time just doing that with this. Okay. Fishing guy's on his way home or whatever. I have to assume at some point you upgrade this place to get lights. Big bell. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Bell pepper. They're really good for pepping up bells. Alright. Listen, the sense of humor in this is deeply stupid. And I love that, actually. It's so stupid. It's I couldn't do better if I tried. That is so dumb. I love it. All right, let's do this one. Alright, new town hall, we'll take a look. Good, because I'm thinking I probably have to be in town hall here soon. Everything in town is spooky. Every single house is a nightmare. Where are you going? Oh, we're going to town hall. What? Okay. This is town hall. I don't know why he went in there. The phone came back. There's a whole, like, garden area over there. You leave me alone, Spooky Yuki. Covered bridge is broken. All right. Yeah, I thought that's what we were doing, but he wandered off into... Oh, whatever. I got 16 something. I think it just broke the mailbox again. I think it broke the mailbox again. Hi, there you are. Alright, find parts. Big hole in the bridge happened a while ago. If you need to fix it, I forgot how to make a bridge repair kit. If you figure it out, let me know. We can go fix it. Okay. Alright. Name town. I'm fine with the town. Write a postcard. Read left. No backsies. Well, there you go, Liz. There's why that worked. Caps lock's on. Fuck you, Potato Man. There we go. And I can change it if I want. Oh, yeah, I don't have stamps to mail them. I don't have a mailbox. Well, like that happens every night. That's very fun. Well, if you don't have much to do, then it's pretty done. Alright, so we're not quite done looking around, but we have seen most of what there is to see right now without advancing things. We can keep getting materials. This lake looks great. Who wants to go for a swim? Reminds me of Gill's Landing. Can't wait to fish up a dead body. Pretty sure I stepped on like a deer carcass or something in that water once. Ooh. There it is. Dang. Digi. One more. I got confused about which way was good for a second. That's on me. I have a tiny brain. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Oh, more free garp. Okay, that's a new one. Grimy rag. You know what? There got immediately scared. Hey, here's a new guy. Hell, fellow tarnished. Sure, man. Thou art not visibly tarnished as I am, but thine countenance and bearing betray a deep internal tarnishing. Introductions are in order. You may call me the Pale Rider. Pale Rider is what you call making do after Taco Bell. Well met, milady. Hast thou any meta-metal? Indeed, I am in constant need of meta-metal to prepare my decaying armor. In my travels, I have collected a bounty of delicious vegetables. Hey, I'll gladly trade for meta-metal should you come across any. Okay, hey, guess where we're going to get that bell pepper? Sure, man. I hear you, dickhead. Oh, there's a mysterious bubble over there. feel like the pigtails go way too far back for the speed you're actually moving, girl. But also animating them to be more like bouncy would be pretty hard. Oh, you get scared fast. But I can leave before it happens. I got a little warning thing like, oh no. It looks like fishing's kind of what we're going to be doing a lot of right now. So we do this. Grimy rag. Everyone loves a good grimy rag. Meta metal. 2. Floof. Flubber. Glastic. I just realized these names. Lumboards. Okay, so now I'm also just kind of like low-key bitching because I'd love to be a little faster. I feel kind of slow personally. That's just because I'm impatient and I'm going all the way back over here. Like Stardew, you're not exactly hauling ass either. I'd have the same complaint. Stardew's great, so. Hail, milady May, how art thou? I am contemplating life's many great mysteries. So we bring a meta metal exchange. I have something for you. It's meta metal. Ark, a fine piece of metal. Prithee, what manner of vegetable doth thou desire in return? A bell pepper. Alright, we got the bell pepper. Check that out. There's something up by the train station. Hey, there's a train up by the train station. A very... Hello? You are a train man. You're a train man. You're a man made of train? I'm not voice acting creaks and groans, I'm sorry. So she's not speaking to him, but he knows. Oh yeah, no, the character designs in this are really interesting. Durango Silverton. Like on the 3D front, this is great. On the 2D front, I wish it had just a little bit more aesthetic coherency to it, because I feel like they don't quite match in vibes sometimes, but like as a whole, I'm having fun. I don't know. It's simple, but it's fun. I like its sense of humor. I like its character designs. I don't like that I have no idea where the old man is, but alright. All I can make is boxes. Okay. Nobody's here. He is absolutely fucked up. Maybe he just goes into there at certain times of night. Maybe that's just what he does. Stole your grass. Mine now. That's fine. I will now go back. Oh, it's too early to sleep. Okay. Taking their Garbo, man. I ain't hurting nobody just taking Garbo. Anything he'd want. It's an interesting fishing mechanic. It's literally just a game of hot and cold. It works pretty well. Too early to go to sleep. I can't do anything without Clock Guy, and Clock Guy has dicked off for now. I'm kind of just here. I guess I could go talk to the potato with my 20 medals and see if that does anything. Alright, you're an asshole. Okay, can I sleep now? Because I don't think there's much I can do at this state. I need the clock. There we go. Tick-tock, boy. Well, we know Town Hall is haunted, because if the lights go off, there's a guy, but lights haven't gone back off, so not a concern, everything's fine. I don't even see a light switch, they just magically work. There's Homeboy back in his place. Brother, where art thou? So if he doesn't appear, I'm kind of hosed, right? Because I need him to fix the bridge. I have the stuff. Satisfying. It does make me think it's Godot, though. A lot of this does. But I'm also, it could be Unity's UI stuff. It could be any UI stuff. Some of it is very default UI. These are not quite. Where is he? Did he break? Like, I have boards for days. Oh, the phone's green now. Did I just get braver as I go then? Okay. Gramophone. Gramophone. Gramophone.
Never mind the question. There would attend to here I do. There would attend to here I really see her and get over it.
No thanks. Alright. So, we're in a new building. Another broken building. Another broken thing. Is he back yet? He is just absolutely fucked off. Oh, thank God. Mellifluous Redonculator. Mellifluous Redonculator is on the fridge. 2 glass stick and 4 metametal. Broken. I think something's on it. Yep. Alright, we got. Get Bell unstuck. Done. Okay. Cutscene. Yeah, it's time of day patterns. And we're back in here. I didn't know what to do with me there. Okay, he's going over there to fix the jukebox. That's fine. I'll take your scrap wood. I'll take your scraps. Yeah, we don't have the ability to open that for another slight way around. There's one of those bubbles. Hoopa Jube? I got a Hoopa Jube. And this house also looks mildly haunted. Because it is. Okay. Realize Marsha Gold. We love to sit in the marsh on rainy days, until probably unrelatedly she got a really bad cold and died. Okay. This grave intentionally left blank. Tombstone said, "Here lies Misty Falls, who always wanted to go over a waterfall riding in a barrel. Everyone said she couldn't do it, but she did, and now she's here." So technically, I mean, she could do it, yeah. Here lies Lily Luna, who climbed up to the mountaintops trying to reach the full moon at midnight. Unfortunately, she wasn't as good at climbing down, and one moonlit night she reached the ground faster than expected. So basically, I opened the door to a bunch of puns, as God intended. Scott's Glasgow. All fixed. The Testament of Dr. Caboose.
There is something wrong with this town. Something terrifying. Monsters prowl the streets at night, and the abandoned houses here radiate malevolent psychic energy. My name is Dr. Choo-Choo Caboose, and I've been working on a device, an ectophone, if you will, that will let me talk to the strange entities haunting the houses. My invention is almost complete. It just needs a few wires, and then I believe it will work. Unfortunately, I will not live to see it. This afternoon, I gravely injured myself making a sandwich, and I don't have long to live. If you receive this message, whoever you are, please continue my work. I'm in the house behind the junkyard. I've built a gate to protect me from the monsters, and the combination to open it is 0, 0, 0, 0. Good luck, and beware the monsters.
I don't know. The Ed Jukebox works. Every time you listen to a new record, you'll learn a new recipe. It's called education. So stupid. Oh, it's a button that just does all of them. Okay, dumb. Don't mind me. Used to carry a bunch of heavy rocks around. Stoncrete. I got some Stoncrete, Ted. More stonks. Oh my gosh. Hey. Refrigerator. It's cool. Wires are like spaghetti for a machine. They need pasta squash. They need pasta squash, guys. They need. That's fine. We'll get there. But for now, I hit the button every single time. Alright, now that's open, so I don't have to go around. Creeping. Oh, there's a timer. I just noticed the timer up there. Oh, it's my bravery. Okay, so the higher that is, the less likely I am to run from something. So if I repair this again... Okay, so let's try repairing the box. And when the box gets repaired, the guy comes out at night breaking it, right? And we'll hear it. And hopefully at that point... Okay, so we have to be here at night and find that bitch. But in the meantime, we can try this again. Got the broken radio. Spooked! I was able to talk to the phone initially. Right? Since I couldn't talk to the phone initially. Oh. Okay, so he goes to work. Okay. So at night they're working. Okay. So I still can't talk to the face, right? Because that's got the red thing around it. Red is bad. Red means scaly. Okay, now if I go in here, there's nothing I can do in there right now. If I go in here, what I can do in here right now. This house is boarded shut. Lamppost is... Oh, it's nighttime, I'm not hiding. Right? I don't know why. Okay, then. So we keep an ear out for the bullshit. In the meantime, I might hit the face, yeah. I've been too close to it or something. Okay, meta metal. And we want pasta squash. We got pasta squash. Think of argument. Controller also vibrates faster as I get... Oh, this one's picky. There it is. Vibrates faster as I get closer, which is nice. That's some little things going on. Little details. They're decent. Decent details. So now... we wait. Right. Town is dark. The middle of the night. Town is dark. Wait. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Yes. So what I'm waiting to see is if she'll spawn again. And not have the red around. Now we're gonna scare her. Yeah. Fix this. don't remember how to fix stairs. Maybe it's a demo problem. I don't know. I don't know what to do with the broken radio yet. And I can't even tell if time is passing out here because how it works. We arrived late enough. I'm like, alright. Now there's something spooky up there. You see the red, kind of. It's a game where first person mode makes sense. Or it could just be the train smoke. I don't know. I don't know if I get all the way back to Mr. Potato. Probably not at this rate. Nah, we're gonna get spooked. I'd love to be able to see the time without looking directly at a clock. Way up there. You know what I mean? Is it moving? Yeah, it's moving. That's all I wanted. Wanted to know if it was moving. I want to say midnight is when the thing goes off. It's a heck of a lot of standing around. I get the feeling that this isn't going to work. But in the meantime, what happens if I alt-tab? Game freezes. Okay. And we have food. Pasta squash. Hyphen al dente. Ectophone. Right, he needs wires in the ectophone. Okay, so I made wires, and I should be able to make an ectophone. And that allows communication with ghosts. So I do have some direction. I know what my next step is. I just really want to see if this happens when I think this happens. What's our timeline looking? Oh my god. Only beef? Really slow. No, it's saved like it's middle of the night. Maybe it just saves every hour or something. Or here, I will reiterate. Love this character model. The black's not being truly black is... You know, feels like some Godot shit. Tone mapping. They're kind of weird about that sometimes, but I don't know. I haven't played around 3D enough. Then the environment, the blacks are black. And I don't know. I don't know shit. I'm not patient. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting really close. If she's gonna pop, it's gonna be soon, right? Like, I think it's at midnight, I would assume. I mean, there's not much I can do out here besides stand on the porch, you know what I mean? Can't really navigate town safely, because as soon as I go over here, scared, maybe get to that light, I don't know. But you slow down so much, probably not. Oh. Where's the train arriving, like when we showed up? Up. And it's still red. But, yes, we tested that. If I approach you with then. Okay. Minus 100. Oh, it did 100 damage to my bravery because it's spooky scary. Got it. Got it. So no point fixing that yet. But I do have the wires. If I go over to the re-educator.
There is...
I have to make the wires first. Did I not make the wires?
Never mind the crash is correct and get over to do it and yeah, I do. Never mind the hero.
Okay. Did I not make wires? I guess I didn't. I thought I did. Thought I did. I am a fool. What is this? Okay. Oh, we'll make a wire. Nobody's here yet. We'll see if I can do it myself. I get to go in, probably not. I'll start open don't said.
There is something wrong with...
Nej, det var så jag. Det var snurren av en tjuv. Nej, det var så jag.
Everyone's waiting for the guy to show up. It said if he had food, he wouldn't go in there so much. So let's... While we wait. Alright, you know what? I wasn't that close to you, and you can calm the fuck down. Oh, he's here. Broken way, take a while. Okay. Talk to ghosts in haunted houses. They can talk to ghosts. Spooky. So in theory, if I go into a haunted house like this one, hello. Do they all say an ectophone, if you will? Finally see my life's work completed. So exciting. My name is Dr. Caboose. Pleased to meet you, May. Thank you for completing my ectophone and using it to talk to me. You can use it to talk to all the other ghosts in town. If to clean and repair a house for its ghost will appear. Bugs and spirits. You made me very happy. Now I can move on. Here, I'll give you the key to this house so you can pass it on to someone else. Beware the monsters in the dark. And I got more bravery. The house is no longer haunted. House no longer haunted. So I can give this house to somebody. I believe. Hello, little girl. I feel really funny. All insubstantial and ghostly. That can't be it. Must be something I ate. Could you run out and get something to help me feel better? Tell them okie dokies. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Where'd all my trash go? Not that I'm complaining. Hello, little girl. You're being some sort of ghost. Don't remember that happening, but when I was alive, they called me Walter Walnut. Presumably because that was my name. Pleased to meet you. There's a certain something that will put my soul to rest, but I've forgotten what it is. Perhaps there's some sort of record somewhere of what it was. Alright. How long do we have to creep when we've talked to the ghost? Now this one's unavailable. But we can go here and talk to this person.
Yeah,
And it goes to okie dokie. Do you have any records? Okie dokie. Let me take a look. There's a record on this. If you meet any more ghosts, Walter Walnut. Take a look. There's a record on Walter. Oh shit. Add. Mr. Mirror Man.
1, 2, 2, 1. I looked into the looking glass and looking back at me, I saw a mirror man. I tipped my hat to him and he tipped his hat back to me, but with the other hand. And I wondered if his left was right and if his right was wrong. I had so many questions, so I wrote this little song. Hey, Mr. Mirror Man, Is everything all left with you?
Good man.
And do your soldiers go make peace instead of making war? Do the poor get richer while the richer men get poor? Tell me, Mr. Mirror Man.
I'm sad that ended. Yeah, you can say it could be better, but like, if it's not AI, then I'm already happy. You know what I mean?
High up in the sky, I'm flying free. You're a bird. Looking down below, what do I see? Have no idea. It's a little wooden box that's nailed to the side of a tree. That's a birdhouse. It's where I want to be. That's a birdhouse. Sitting comfortably. So won't you come, fly away and live in a birdhouse with me.
All right. No, that's awesome. I like the Re-Educator. The Edjukebox. Yeah, it's very charming. It's silly, but it's charming. I go out in the church. No, locked. Okay, and I can't fix the bridge yet. I don't have the recipe. I don't have the food for it. Okay. I can make this. Boom. Birdhouse needs a project box and a unicorn. Okay, we can get a unicorn. Actually, I know exactly how to get a unicorn. Don't mind me. Know where the unicorn is. To make a birdhouse. Running, I'm running. Hi. I can't give him a stinking house, apparently. Okay. Until I complete my quest to get untarnished, I must remain a vagabond. Okay, homeboy needs more metal. How about a unicorn? Thank you. You can say you got it out of context. That one out of context, it looks like a sex toy. Alright. We're getting somewhere. Slowly but surely, we are getting somewhere. Now, this guy doesn't open up much, right? He pops out immediately and hasn't come back since. I don't know. I don't know what he's up to. Maybe he comes out certain times of night. Maybe he's not for the demo. He's just a teaser of the future. Who's to say? We're making a birdhouse. Alright. Here we go. We're going to go in some houses. I believe one of you wanted a birdhouse. I don't know which one. Oh, star right there. This isn't what I wanted. Oh my god, I'm a ghost. Now that I've reflected on things, time to move on. I'll leave you the key to this house in case you want to stop by after I'm gone. Oof. We're up to 30. Okay, I'm gonna go on this one. Birdhouse. Oh, of course. I'm going to build a birdhouse to put in that walnut tree in front of my house. No tree, huh? Well, maybe it's gone to the great beyond, and I can take this birdhouse with me and hang it there in the tree. That's a lovely thought. Thanks for the help. You can have this old house now that I'm moving on. Hope you find someone nice to move into it. Kind of wish we got the little hair holding up the key, but I get it. Alright, may as well sleep until noon for now, because I think we've done everything we can do right this second. Snooze them. Girl sleeps like I do, and I appreciate that. Hopefully you can upgrade the town hall, too, as you go. The train's leaving. Alright, now, presently, someone should live in one of these houses. That one over there, which is now blue. Behold, it's blue. Real McCoy isn't home, but if he was home, we could go in his house. Got it. Now, is this one open? Hello, my child. It is so very cold in this house. Aren't you freezing? No? Wish I had something to keep me warm. Hey, I'm finding the voice. Find the voice. My congregation used to call me Pastor Prime. Oh my god. Okay, so when I was a kid, I used to love those books where like the jokes were the spines of the books, like the author's name was just ridiculously on point for whatever the book name was. This has that vibe. IP Nightly, yeah, that's a big one. Pleased to meet you, child. Yeah, Ghost Detective, you're right. And you used to be the pastor. House is cold. Used to be the pastor. Can't get in the church? Locked. Can't build the bridge. Don't know if the demo will let me build the bridge at this rate. I don't know. There's tape's new. Floof, metal, nothing new. Alright. Alright. You. Cool. Grandfather clock moved into my town. Probably another record, yeah. I had the feeling this would be a longer one. Let's go over here. Something for you. You won't take a house right now. Let's get... Okay, you know what? I have to go to the bathroom. I am going to let you all debate amongst yourselves. Which one should I try to feed the clock? I'll be back in a second. Good luck. All right, I'm back. I'm going to be moving quietly for a little bit, so. Wifey needs a moment. Oh, well, I guess we picked wherever that was. That's a very big house.
Nej, det var bra. Det var nu morgon. Så det kan bli närmare kvarter.
Oh, it's cold outside, and it's cold in here, and it's cold wherever you go this time of year. But don't you fret, and don't you fear, because I got something to keep you nice and warm, my dear. So let's quilt being cold, and let's quilt being sad, and let's quilt thinking about all the bad times we had. Yeah, let's quilt out of the house, and we'll quilt into the sleigh, and we'll have ourselves a quilted holiday.
I am mildly concerned that it might be AI music. I really have no idea. These days, it's an immediate worry every time it comes up. But yes, there is effort in the songs, and I appreciate them being here. That's a lot of glass. I'm not saying it is for sure AI music. I have no idea. It's just these days I worry about that. I just do. You know, I'm just done. Quilt. Need a quilt. Let's go. Let's go. Is that this one over here? Yeah. Crunchy, leafy, versatile vegetable. Half potato, half tomato, fries and ketchup all in one. Not that kind of eggplant, like an egg from a chicken, but from a plant. When'd I get this? Unicorn cob. Huh. Oh, they're so warm and soft and snuggly. I feel like I'm being hugged by angels. Thank you, my child. I can move on, and some other deserving soul can inherit this house. Goodbye. I do like that every key has a different design. That's cute. Now I'm not sure what my next goal is. I can't open that. There's only a fishing guy. Oh, he's home. Leftover bowl by the water ghost? What? What water ghost? Oh. Yeah, that does exist, I suppose. It's kind of, kind of a problem. Because by the water, I had to get up the, get way the fuck up there for by the water. I don't know. Did you have a house? Okay. Yeah, I'd like to give him some of the respite. Oh! Okay. Need a cancel option on the dialogue. Hitting B doesn't immediately be like, oh yeah, no, you picked the no option. Which isn't the end of the world. But at the same time, let me just hit B for now. Okay, so we'll do that. I will sleep better with that, I guess. Okay. I wonder if that'll do something for me of meeting. I'll get a record if I clear out that other house. I'll get a record if I give the train somewhere to live. I have 2 keys, but it wouldn't let me pick that option. Oh, I give it to... I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I see the house, and I know it's like this requires them to have a house to ask it. But for some reason, I always see the house, and I think that's the one where I'm like, hey, you want a house? Oh. Oh. The dog man. I've awakened a dog man. I am walking on top of the train man. Oh, hey, he's out now. He doesn't have to work that long. Oh, girl. Wow. I got new job running train at night. Honk, honk. Big excite. Wow. Ow. Call me Danshaw. Hi, Dan. I'm May. Cool name. Such meat. Wow. Oh, girl. Wow. What's up? Running train. Honk, honk. Wow. Here, man. Very house. Wow. But I have smoke allergy. Wood stove. Much needs. Sad. Sorry. So he specifically needs a house that doesn't have that. I just got 5 logs out of his... Yo, I stole that dog's logs. Build yourself a bridge, because he forgot how. He forgot how to build a bridge, guys. Oh, that's a cover. Do it. I love that they're all like 70s as hell. Makes me very happy.
When you wanna get from here to there, you gotta build yourself a bridge. But there's a big open pit beware, you gotta build yourself a bridge. Oh child, don't try to jump
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's AI. that kind of convinced me it's probably not AI. That was that was, I don't know how to put that besides humanly flawed. So I'm hoping we're all right. Hey, you know that lumber I fucked up? I need it now. Well, it's spooky time. Uh-oh. 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 Girl, we got wood. Just make a... I know, it wasn't. It's basically Schoolhouse Rock, right? Oh, did I get up earlier than noon now? Got it. Oh yeah, much earlier than noon. Look at that. We're up in the morning. What does it accomplish? I don't know. He's out and about. I need to get wood. Unless the logs can be turned into wood. I have a doubt. I'm assuming the logs are going to be... Well... Guess not. Alright, cool. It's a pretty lengthy demo. I mean, I don't know how you'd make it shorter, though. Like, it's just kind of this one little area of town, but it's doing quite well. Refrigerator. Yeah, if Grandfather Clock ever comes back out, because apparently it works mornings, too. Wait. I have a weird notion. Bam. I guess we need a restarator. A restoration kit. I'm trying to predict it now, you know. I don't know. We got the refrigerator for him whenever he shows the fuck up again. And I would love to be able to, like, build the obvious should be here light posts. But I get it. Hey, there you are. Hey. No, you're not. I forgot I did that. Yeah, he does just look like that, doesn't he? I never even thought about it. Oh, he fixed the bridge. Now there's gonna be all sorts of riffraff trapezing through here. Rapesing? I don't remember where it was. Going to the forest, going to the mine, going to the marsh, going to the public library. Oh wait, that last one burned down. Oh, you're done with the demo now. Wonder what the other 90% of the game will have. A lot more people for one thing. I'm not leaving yet. I want to go over here. Oh. Man, look at all that stuff. I want to touch it with my face and hands. Right. Alright. Well, he actually left his house. Good for him. Look at that dumper. At least it's made of 2 parts, it looks like. Somehow. There's like a seam in him. Huh. Alright. Didn't expect that. Works, though. Does the job. Most normal people probably wouldn't have noticed. At least where the boards go in and down with or something, you like I can't even interact with them, you know? There's no making him untarnished. There's no getting... Oh, that's his house. That's why it's blue, you see. I will try to go up here, but as you can see... No, demo hard says no. So we're done. We did it. Get spooked, idiot. Yeah, not bad. I like that one. 10:30 already. All right, I probably have to call it. So, yeah, we didn't do as many tonight, but it's a short night. I don't have all night. Unless wife wants to Terrar with me or something for a bit or something. We'll see. Right now she's busy. I need to get out of the game. Oh! Oh! Look at this! Well, there's a hint of something he needs. He's dirty. Currently in Blitzburg. Currently in Blitzburg. Currently out of town. Train guy. Okay, so that's good to know. And, you know what? You know who we haven't given a home to? That I could probably give a home to?
Here, awesome. Alright, and get over here. Yeah, they're minded here, really, here, awesome. There would attend goodness.
A cursed antique.
Never mind the here. Alright, and get over here. Nej, det var bra jakt. Det var snöre mallen.
Oh no.
Never mind it here, really. Never mind it
Like a telephone. Or a TV or the clock.
Here, really. Nej, det var bra jakt. Det var attend goodness. Alright, and get over here. Det var snöre mallen. Nej, det var bra jakt. Alright, and get over here. Never mind it here, really. Never mind it here, really.
Aww. So she doesn't want a house, but she does have the option to have one later. Interesting. Alright. Yeah, and we don't have what we need to do different things at this point. So we have hints of what the rest of the game would have us doing. Unless... I just beat him all day, I guess. Got me an eggplant shell, so he seems like an easy way to, if you need materials for different things, get them. The dog can't live where there's a wood stove. The rabbit's not out meaningfully. Yeah, I think we've done everything we can do on this right now. That's a lunch. It's a big metal lunchbox thing, a tool shed, toolbox, whatever it is. Yeah. Unless, hear me out. Unless. Ah. You won't even offer to fix it again. Okay, whatever. Maybe if I investigate it, I get the choice. I doubt I can, though. I mean, whatever. Oh, wow, you can climb up there and everything. Look at that. Alright. Yeah, getting 3 people to help me move it doesn't seem likely because I can't get the guy in the wheelchair. Engine guy could, so that's 1. And Grandfather Clock probably could, so that'd be 2. But I don't see a way to do 3 right now, so. Barring the zombie actually being doable, which seems like a big stretch. And this is... You know what I mean? I don't want to stand around that long. That's a long time to just stand here. So, let me say I quit. All right. I will be back in a minute. Okay. Yeah, it's may or may not. It's funny. Yes. I am going to call it. Though I will say, in case you can't tell by the fact I played that for a good chunk of time, that's in the yes pile. That one's fun. I liked that. I don't have a ton of critique on it even. It is charming. It made me laugh. Could use some music, I think, in the background, maybe. Some day-night music or something. I don't know. I guess the jump scares hit harder, but they get old fast, especially when you figure out like the bravery thing or whatever. So some UI polish, yeah, visually. Like the UI works great. It just needs some visual polish. But I think for like in terms of fundamental stuff, maybe make her a little faster for trekking back and forth across town. Not a lot. I don't know. She might be fine. That's just me being impatient. Getting to the trash can guy. You'll note he's the first one I tried to give a house to. He's in a really annoying spot. That might be a better spot as the game goes. I don't know. I'm working off the demo. But it was endearing. We played it through the end. I even fiddled with some secrets and potential there, like whatever. And they were asking specifically if someone would play it on like they hit me up in my DMs. So, you know, feel free to give that a shot if you want to feel for it too. I liked it. Still have a huge pile. I don't know if we'll get another one of these in or not before the end of Next Fest. I have so many. Monday is we were gonna play Ghost Janitors, me and Liz, hopefully. But for now, tomorrow I really gotta do Skebs, so I gotta get some work done the next couple days. It's bad. We need money. It's the end of the month. I ain't doing my job. I need to do my job. So for now, we're done with Next Fest. I'll see if I can work in more time. I don't know. We should get back to Star Ocean, but this is kind of fun. I like bouncing between games like this. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I'll see you all next time. And we'll do something probably spooky. So, yippee. See you then. Bye. Sploosh.